They are here to, I think, seek some dollars as part of the required, as Jennifer Keim often says, historic preservation mitigation of the Westinghouse A building. So I know you've presented this to Land Bank, but I thought it might be a good opportunity for Daryl and Cliff to see it again and kind of have that formal ask. So take it away.
Sure. Well, thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate you guys having us here to talk through this. Again, I know you guys have seen some of this and heard some of it, but I did want to go through this morning to talk a little bit about the why of the project and how we got here and kind of where we're going. So as Commissioner Vera stated, we are here to ask for funding for mitigation for the Westinghouse Type A or Westinghouse A building today. The total amount of that ask will be $125,000. So Alan and I are here on behalf of DMI, Richland County Historical Society, and also the City of Mansfield's Preservation Commission. So as you can see the building up here, this is the Westinghouse A building that we're talking about.
Hold on.
I was like, wait, I don't have
I have to switch screens. And okay. Do you want?
looks like
It's not working.
I was gonna say it looks like the background's off on it.
Yeah, it looks like that's the computer screen. There you go.
All right. Hold on.
Mm,
Move this to this screen.
no, I think it's not.
Hold on. Let me. Because I got all this stuff. Here we go.
All right.
Okay. So yeah, I think it'll click it one more time. I think it should highlight. Yeah, okay.
Ooh.
So currently the Westinghouse A building is an ownership of the Richland County Land Bank, which is seeking demolition bids for it. So what happens when historic properties go through demolition in federal or federal-like fund projects is a 106 review occurs. So what happened in the fall, well, actually in December, the Land Bank submitted with consulting parties a 106 review to the State Historic Preservation Office. That review piece encompasses current state of the building. Amy does, extensive reviews of what all has happened in the building, photos of the current state, also some history of it. The consulting parties in this particular project were the three of our organizations, DMI, County Historical Society, City of Mansfield Preservation Commission, Mansfield Memorial Museum, and the Industrial Museum. So we all submitted paperwork indicating the history. It goes to the state for the state to review. Then they issue an opinion. The 106 review process is the process by law in which members of the public have a voice when federal actions will affect properties that qualify for the National Register. Some people say that any building built yesterday, us historians and preservationists deem historic. This is false.
Really?
Yes, this is false. So there are actually, I don't know, it sounds familiar, but there are specific criterion in which buildings are reviewed. This building meets criterion A in 3 different ways: association with Westinghouse, manufacturing in Mansfield, and women's history in the workforce. Those came back from the opinion of the state as reasons why the building is considered historic and why mitigation needs to occur.
Criterion B was the building built yesterday or beyond?
It is not.
Okay, just making sure.
Mitigation is the process then by which we seek to minimize the adverse effects of demolition to local history. So in the process of mitigation, a memorandum of agreement is developed that records resolution matters agreed to resolve the adverse effects. That's done prior to the project, and mitigation is the whole reason we're here today. So mitigation occurs in a variety of ways for buildings. I know Alan's been involved in several mitigations that have happened. They can look a bunch of different ways. And that agreement is reached between the party that's demolishing it and owning it, and then the historical society, the state, and the government and the federal government. With this project, Commissioner Barrow challenged us to come up with a really fantastic mitigation proposal. And so we did. We came together with what we think is a great proposal. We knew there are lots of options, and we'll get to that proposal.
That's a question on the previous slide.
Yeah.
If I look at this just on the surface, it says that historical significance meets a criterion just by association with Westinghouse.
So the historical significance, that would be the association, the prominence of the Mansfield Westinghouse in its relationship to the Westinghouse Corporation.
Okay. I guess I'm confused. Why is that company of significance historically?
I would have to look back on that criterion. Do you have any other feedback on that?
I mean, as far as I know, there's still a Westinghouse Corporation.
Yeah, I think it was the early development of Westinghouse. I
Right.
think it was.
There's a little bit of jargon there using the word association, I think, in that when they spell out the criteria, they use that word a lot, meaning they could have just said Westinghouse, which, and in fact, your alternating current lights up until LEDs are totally Westinghouse reason. Mansfield had a Westinghouse power plant.
I interpreted it as more significance to Mansfield and that it was our largest employer and it shaped our community. So that was my understanding of the association with Westinghouse.
That's
I would
true.
think that World War II, the production that came out of that building is significant.
That's true, but the Park Service ranks it like criteria, national, local, and so forth. So I think they are pointing out the national significance in that first line there and local significance in the second case. And then a specific women in the workforce history. That's another national issue, really. So they're kind of saying it's more than just local manufacturing in Mansfield. It's more than that. It's also Westinghouse, which was, foundation of our whole power system, and women in the workforce.
I'm kind of a Dorothy the Riveter.
Nice.
She's related to Rosie somehow.
Right, I'm sure they're cousins.
Daryl the Riveter.
So to touch on the local piece that Alan was talking about, this is our current City of Mansfield Preservation Plan that was created in 2018. As you can see here, we touch on Westinghouse and the ongoing development of that particular area and that building in the preservation plan as well. So the A building itself was built in 1919. A lot of things happened in that building. The one thing that we're going to highlight today is the development, the Cozy Glow. So this particular piece was a small kind of either a floor or tabletop radiator that was used. You plug it in, and was marketed towards families and women, kind of like you get your kids out of the shower, they're cold, you kind of set this up. So Cozy Glow was manufactured in the Westinghouse A building. So there's the actual heater, and there's a piece of the marketing that took place.
And we have one, by the way. Bart Hamilton found one.
You can go downstairs and look at it.
We dare you to plug it in.
I'll plug it in. So when we talk about the women in the workforce here in Westinghouse A building, here's a photo of the girls of heater number 1. So at the time in 1920, women represented about 20% of the women's workforce nationally. In this particular line in this building, they represented 100% of the work of the actual floor workers. So there were male supervisors that were on the upper floors, but the actual lines were staffed primarily by women. Those numbers are unique to the time period and to the industry.
It's a great photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you to Mansfield Memorial Museum for having a lot of these great photos. So in addition to the girls of Heater 1, we also have the Westinghouse girls. This was super interesting. So that picture on the right is actually a group of, it's from the Mansfield paper at the time. And these Westinghouse girls were not just manufacturing women in the plant, they were community leaders. They would hold meetings, they would have elected officials and prominent members of the community and neighborhood communities come in. They lead discussions and lectures. And then they also traveled to New York to display the Cozy Glow and to talk about manufacturing production at Westinghouse. They would travel nationally and discuss what's happening in manufacturing,
Look at that dress you wore to go to work, the one on the left.
right? Thanks.
Why didn't you wear one of those today?
I should have. I should have dressed
Get
in.
into the spirit of history.
I'll see if I can get a period costume.
Well, you could just buy something that was manufactured yesterday. You could have worn that.
Criterion C. So in addition to this is one of the newsletters, one of the original newsletters from October 1919 from the local Westinghouse. This is the employee newsletter. And as you can see here, the doorway that we're going to show later is really a prominent feature of the building. So it's not a super decorative, super elaborate door frame that you see in, a lot of buildings that are historic, but it definitely played a prominence in this building, and they were very proud of it. Here's a couple more pictures, employee gatherings, etc. So, as I said, when Commissioner Barrow said that we would pull together something fantastic for mitigation, Alan and I talked about a bunch of different things. I did a lot of research, and Alan and I drove to the building and just kind of walked around one day and looked at things and started talking about concepts. And this door frame really just stuck out. Here are some recent images of it. In the 2012 image, you can see really the full setback of the door, which you can't now because of the concrete block or the block-in. And then here's a concept proposal. Alan, you want to talk about the concept proposal?
It's one of a number of ways it could be done. It's not like this is how we should do it. However, it's just taking the doorway as we see of it, and from the picture noting its depth and so forth, scaling it is to scale. Those stone blocks are 20 inches tall, so you can just use that as a measuring stick in laying out a drawing like this, a 3D model. And that's what I did. I think it's important to include surrounding brick with the pattern there if possible. And the other thing that's not shown there that I think will be an important part of it is locating this on a piece of the shop floor. I think that if at all possible, will make a much better monument of saving something tangible on the spot. It's unfortunate. I mean, the original idea was to not tear this down, to leave this much of it, support it somehow on the place, but nobody has nobody has bought into that being possible. So by all advice, it needs to be taken apart before demolition and then reconstructed. And it's when reconstructing it needs to be, from a historical point of view and from a monument point of view, it has to be on the site. It has to be, it can be set back more from the road to prevent salt damage and so forth. I think that's a good thing. But putting it on a piece of the shop floor, I think, would be a really excellent option.
So there was
All can be done.
some debate amongst the history people as to the location of the archway, presuming we move forward with this. And I think it was the thought that the archway would maintain more of its historical significance on the actual site where the A building sits. We don't believe it would hinder development, presuming we go through with cleaning up the slab, because the parcel in which the A building sits is 3/10 of an acre. The area to be developed is 14 acres, right? So we thought from a historical perspective, it made all the sense in the world to put it there in some fashion or as close to where it once stood. We think it would look good. We don't think it would deter development. Actually, we think it would help a business say, oh, we could maybe even take this over someday and make a parkway for employees or people to eat with picnic tables. So there was some debate there, but I think the majority of the people felt it would be best served there. The only other piece then, if you do that, and Jennifer will talk about it, will be who owns it up until that point where maybe that site can eventually be developed. So maybe you can kind of fill us in on that.
So there's there's a lot of options for long-term ownership of this. I have had some conversations with the mayor about ownership of it. All of those pieces will need to go to council and they won't go until August. So I think there's a number of parties that are committed to working through this as the ownership piece of it as it goes. And then, as Tony said, I mean, long term, I think it could be owned by a lot of different people, but the key really now is to get it completed. As Tony mentioned, we looked at various locations. I think all the parties agreed that if it was possible to have it at the current location, that's where we wanted to keep it. But when we first started looking at it, we weren't sure about the engineering and the construction, and we weren't sure how possible that was. So we were looking at other possibilities if that didn't work out. JR with the land bank has been working with some of the local unions to work through and identify contractors and preservation consultants to help us through this project. So he's got us a lot of great people to give us quotes and estimates, and he's also engaged them in the longer term piece of it. So when you look at that image, you see the plaque on the front, and that's our primary research plaque that'll be a part of mitigation. But there's lots of opportunities for local unions to be involved in it as it moves forward if they wanted to have other pieces in it. I know there were lots of unions involved in Westinghouse at that time. And it has an option of really growing and saying, you know, this is a starting place to it, but you know, long term, it could have more of a park presence with other kinds of plaques and other history in there. So right now, where we're at with it is we have had an engineering firm come down that specializes in this type of work, preservation, restoration contractor, and the historian to do the research. So those combined quotes total that 125. I have had talks with the city about contributing to it, ownership as well as funding. They're very open to it, and that will be discussed in council. The timeline, however, for us now is that land bank is looking, as you know, the demolition bids are out. They're looking to start demolition in October. So we need to get the engineering done and the deconstruction done in September. So I need to sign contracts. I need to get contracts with the people who can do the work so we can get that done in time. So that's where we're at with the project.
Well, the bricks,
We need an actual MOA now.
Well, and then we would, yeah. So then we need time to work with the land bank to get the MOA done.
on the doorway, the bricks that are up there, are those coming from the building?
So I'm not sure. When we met with the restoration, the preservation restoration contractor, I was hoping we could use current bricks. We might be able to, we might not. The bricks that are there now they might not be the best bricks for it long term.
That's what you need to do it for.
Yeah. So if that's the case, and that's why
It's not the bricks, it's more the doorway.
Yeah, I agree.
So
And that's why it was important to have this preservation restoration contractor there, because he does churches and courthouses, and that's all they do is this type of work. So they understand what can work long term, what was built for long term, what was built for short term. So those may or may not be.
I'm sorry, go on.
The design there, he did specifically mention taking those stones out or whatever
Yeah.
they are as using those. As far as the brick went, he said you can match these brick really close. It's a question of $10 a brick versus $1 a brick, for new brick. So if you tried to save those brick, the cost of saving and cleaning and reusing would be considerable.
I forgot about the
It would-
cost
it
part.
would blow up the cost of the project.
So if I can ask, those decorative, for lack of a better term, arrows that point down on either side of the arch, are those I assume those are going to be maintained?
Yeah.
Those would be original stone?
That's what I was trying to convey. Yeah.
That's what he was
they
referring
would
to.
be
Those
saved.
pieces will
Yeah.
be saved.
Well, I think it
Those are original.
looks, it looks much better than someone said they're gonna save a doorway.
Right.
But I considered the source also, so it looks good.
So, no engineer, but this is going to be a self-supporting archway with nothing behind it. Is that really stable?
Yes. Yeah, the engineering estimate she has is for that purpose, to create a framework that backs it up.
And what will be on the backside? I mean, you've got the arrows and the decorative arch, but what will be behind it? Just only brick?
That's up to
Has that been decided?
So I mean, right now it'll be brick, but that's what I was talking about the plaques, the other things. So that has opportunity for other pieces back there. So if the bricklayers union wanted to put something back there, so that would be an opportunity for additional pieces behind. But the actual construction piece, the engineering firm will do all those drawings and lay all that out so that it's safe.
How thick would this be? I mean, it'd be thicker than the width of a brick, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well,
It's gonna be sturdy.
You can't tell how many bricks back.
it is, let's see, it is a veneer. It in its present, it's only a brick veneer on a block wall. Is what it is. It's not a brick wall. There's if
So you're gonna have a brick, then block, then brick.
it's just right now in the building itself, it's just brick and block. It's a veneer block, and it extends to the piers that hold the building. So it's not a supporting wall. It's a what do you call it? A curtain wall.
Mm.
Between, I mean, the building's built with these piers spaced up and then across. So under the upper windows of the next floor, there's reinforced concrete going across between the two piers that are just out of the frame on those pictures there. So that's just a fill in today. The engineering firm would give us a plan of what has to go behind it. And I don't think you can actually really design too much on the other side until we get the engineering.
It's real quick and couple things, but I don't want to speak for anyone, but did the mayor give an indication of whether he'll ask council to maybe partner with us a little bit? I'm not
Yes.
saying 50-50. Maybe they also contribute in ownership, but was there any indication that the city might be willing to partner with us on that?
yes, that was my ask to the city, was that they partnership in ownership and then also in a financial contribution. But that won't come forward till August. So we won't know that. It'll go to city council, it'll go to 3 reads. So we won't have that financial commitment till probably September.
But we do believe,
I do believe that there will be a financial contribution from the city.
Total cost is
125.
engineering and design only.
It's engineering. No. That's the entire piece. That is,
Construction as well.
that's engineering, deconstruction, construction, and then the history research piece for the plaque. That's all in costs.
And that total is,
125.
okay, so we would be contributing a portion of that?
Yes. So I don't know if city council is going to decide. I don't know when they're going to decide or what they're going to decide. So my ask is that the commissioners will put the full amount towards the project, and then we'll back out the amount that city council.
similar to what we did with the local match and the Westinghouse committee.
Exactly.
If we commit to the entire amount, that's less incentive for them to commit to anything. Well, the county's already got it. Why do
We
we?
did,
We're on it.
we did for the Westinghouse demo.
And we do have the
We
time.
committed the million and then the city said,
Is that still a good strategy to do that? Commit to the entire amount?
Oh, I think the people there have good integrity and would,
I'm just asking. I'm just
well,
asking.
I
I guess that's the
hear
question.
you. I'm confident.
I mean, if I'm bidding on something, it's, well, so the cost is covered. Why do you need me? right?
Then why did we do the million for the Westinghouse building?
I'm saying it's not a,
It's also a smaller amount.
That's a much smaller.
So, I mean, we're not asking you guys to put $500,000 up for it. You know what I
we don't know
mean?
what they're asking the city council is going to be yet, do we?
I don't know for sure.
From the pushback we were getting initially, the ownership is a big deal.
Yeah, the ownership's a big deal. I'll tell you, if they did less and did ownership, I'd be more than happy with that. Yeah,
taking care of that.
taking care of it, having their parks. I mean, that to me would be, And I'm hesitant to put a number out there, and then, but let's even say if we did 80 or 90 and the city said, okay, we'll do 40 and take ownership, I'd be like, sweet.
That's long-term maintenance.
Well, I will make a motion that we finance this up to $125,000. And that historic societies altogether are gonna make this happen.
And I'm way, way behind it too, because I mean, Westinghouse brought me here. What can I say? How can I say no,
How can you
right?
not vote?
I'm not saying I
You're
would.
asking questions like you freaking work there.
I never said I
Don't put
would.
freaking in the minute.
I'm just asking.
My daughter said that. Now I got yelled at for saying frickin'.
Yeah, are you surprised?
She said to my
Has
wife,
anybody mentioned,
it's gonna frickin' rain out.
I think it's a great, I mean,
been telling him for 5 years.
I passed too, you know,
I know.
I mean, it changed everything for me. I mean, that's what brought me here.
It's a big part of the community. And I think, the why on this building is that, yeah, we have a lot of industrial properties in town that are all really important. The Westinghouse undoubtedly was really a cornerstone of our community for a long time. And like many of us in this room, we have connections to it. The community feels a deep connection to Westinghouse, and we lost so much of Westinghouse already. This is almost like one of our last chances to really do something really generational for people to reflect on Westinghouse and its meaning to the community. So
Does that mean you're gonna second then even after the tough line of questions?
That's a second with a capital S.
Commissioner Vero,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears,
Oh, yes.
Commissioner Banks.
Yes,
All right, now don't go. You have 3 minutes. Stacy, can you blow those two? Oh wait, Carl may have questions.
Before you look at the swinging balls, 125 that you're kind of guaranteeing here, where's that money? What fund is that coming from?
I'm hoping Mr. Keller will be creative in finding a way to use ARPA for this.
This is a project that the commissioners will likely need to appropriate money to the land bank. The commissioners don't own this property. The commissioners are not going to own this property. So the land bank can then coordinate with its wholly owned subsidiary, Cozy Glow LLC, to deliver it. So the commissioners do have legal authority to appropriate general fund dollars to the Richland County Land Reutilization Corporation. That's probably how this will need to go.
Is that Brad Keller's way of saying yes?
You can fund this through the land bank. It's not likely going to be an ARPA project, but you can fund it through the land bank.
All right, Stacy, blow those up real quick. We have the history people here. There's been a talk generated by a resident. Wait, bigger. You can increase it by with just your little mouse.
Magnify,
There
yeah.
you go. Go to the next one in particular, if you will.
Open it.
You can just hit over on the arrow. There you go. You can blow that up. So there's been a request from a resident that spearheaded this at a Jersey Mike's saying, hey, everyone scoffs at the old courthouse building when you have these majestic courthouses across the state of Ohio. But Richland County is actually unique because to his knowledge, this is the only courthouse in the state built in this time period. And he said, what will really accentuate the history of the building is if we returned to the globe lights. So we went on an expedition. Our maintenance superintendent did a great job of what we believe tracking them down. So real quick, give us a historical and aesthetic opinion.
So this resident's absolutely correct. This courthouse, while it gets a lot of, negative feedback because of all the original courthouses, it is a very unique courthouse, and it's a live functioning courthouse and has really interesting architectural details to it. And the lighting as it currently is sticks out like a sore thumb. It is really not appropriate to the building. Restoring original type globe lights, the exterior, would be a huge help aesthetically to the building.
Alan, so that's a vote yes.
Yes. Capital Y.
That's an emphatic capital Y. All right, Wick.
Yes. The courthouse gets a lot of flack, I understand, but it was a product of its time. And if, it's what's called new formalism. I think it's a good example of it. You can look at another example out on Lexington Avenue, the telephone building.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
A very squarish version. This is a little more, I think, aesthetic with the arches.
And I have to say, regardless of the small minority of people, I think the building's starting to grow on me a little bit with some of the changes we've made and the lighting. I actually think the building looks a lot better now than it did several years ago. And I'm kind of leaning, I think it might look, again, you're running into the history, right? Okay, so let's make it a positive.
I mean, I think, I would encourage you, I agree with you. The building is an interesting building and it is a product of its time. As you move forward with the redevelopment of the building, I know you guys are investing in pockets of it. I would encourage you to look at that through the lens of the time period. And so that the changes that you're making are consistent with the feel of the building. So you don't end up 20 years in the future making alterations that don't look right. They look good now, but they don't look right later.
I would say that was part of the demise of the old courthouse, was a whole lot of changes that were, some of them significant structural changes. They were bringing I-beams in and changing floor levels and doing a lot of stuff that eventually they threw up their hands. They couldn't handle it. But
We'll talk to
I love-
Josh.
I love a building with terrazzo floors and quality construction like this building is today. It's over 50 years old. It could possibly qualify for the National Register, except for that security entrance might put a damper on that. I don't know. I mean from the preservation office point of view, they might object to that, but I would keep it original, and here you have a chance to put something back. I would do it for sure.
More to come. Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys. Thanks for having us today.
All right, I know we're a little behind. Let's blow through our logistical items and then I know Pat's here and Carl's here. So I'm going to propose an amendment to the minutes. It says just the ORC provision is wrong. It's 5705.281, not 2. I'll make the proposed amendment.
Make motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
Commissioner Barrow, Commissioner Mears, Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Motion to approve requisitions.
So moved.
Second,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears,
yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Motion to approve weekly transfers and appropriations.
Second.
Barrow,
Yes.
Commissioner,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
A motion to adopt the 2023 tax budget in accordance with the Budget Commission's guidelines set forth in 2002.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
All right, I thought Charlene and Carmen were gonna come up for this. So Carl, I kindly ask if we approve this, that you direct your questions to them. For a motion to approve the amendment to Harmony House contract. Harmony House has had a dramatic increase in clients in the first 6 months. Obviously, we've talked in length about some of the homelessness issues that the community has having, and quite frankly, the country is having. So we believe this would be a worthwhile endeavor. And so they are, meaning the Harmony House is seeking an increase of $28,000 in their contract, their Title 20 TANF contract with JFS.
I'll make a motion. that we do that.
And I'll second it.
Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Okay, we need to amend some prior actions. Previously, we had approved termination of a Dayspring employee. We need to correct the resignation that we will accept her resignation. It is not an involuntary termination. We will accept the resignation of a Dayspring employee with the same termination date of July 5th.
I'll make a motion to.
Hang on.
The revision.
I thought she resigned July 6th.
It's July 5th, just the term date in which there may be a different date for OPERS. The OPERS date may be July 6th, but the term date will stay July 5th.
Okay.
Anyone making that motion?
I just made the motion.
Second.
Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears,
Yes.
Yes.
All right, need to amend again, another prior action regarding the delinquent sewer bills. We need to amend it from a certification and putting it on the tax duplicate to simply certifying them. They will not go on the tax duplicate until September.
So move.
Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks.
Yes.
Okay, any questions before we go into executive session for employment? Employee. Seeing none at this time, I'll ask for a motion that we go into executive session for a discussion on employment of a public employee.
Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears, Commissioner Banks.
Yes.
Yeah, we are back in the session and we should have some formal action to take next week. All right.
Hey, thanks.
Hey, Amanda Miller. You ready for the bid opening for your generator?
Don't act so enthused.
Really, smile a little bit. This is a good thing, right?
I know you.
Oh, no, yeah.
True. Here we go. All right, I have Lake Erie Electric Inc. out of Mansfield, Ohio. That's good, local. I have a base bid of 101, 145. I see a bid bond.
101, 145.
Yep. That it? No one else?
That is within the 10%.
110 was the estimate.
Below. Good. I worked with this company in Belleville when we did the original beautification of the street.
Mhm.
Very good to work with.
Okay. Well, we'll come back in at 11 for another bid opening. Recess.
Banquet.
Okay, it is 11 o'clock. Your Rich County Board of Commissioners are now in session. Joined by Mr. Schaub and Mr. Seckel and some friends in the audience. So if you could please introduce yourself. Stacy, do you have it or do you need?
I'm fine.
Okay, so we have some representatives from our bidding companies and we're going to open bids for the Fairgrounds roof project. Dan, what's the engineer's estimate?
99. 699.
It's like the price is right, right? All right. There's that. For the bid bond. Okay, so I have Alumni Roofing. They're at 610 even, and I do see a bid bond. Located in Lexington. Oh, I got both places. I also have Mead, also located in Lexington. That 654, 475, and I do see a bid bond as well.
Concept Incorporated. They have a bid bond and their price. Hang on. What page should the price be?
Like a lump sum.
F2.
EF2.
B.
EF2.
BF2.
Okay. Again, that was Advanced Concepts Incorporated with a bid bond and the price is 626, 038, $626,038.
I have Truth out of Wheeling, West Virginia. Bond. Bid of 1,074,000 even.
That's a little past the estimate.
I also have Dan Schroeder. I have two copies. I'm not sure where they're based. I don't see it on the card. With a figure of $635,651.32.
Could you repeat, please, sir?
$635,651.32.
Thank you.
Of RJ Kirkland Construction Company. And they have a bid bond and their bid is $596,060. 6,060.00. Have a Turner Roofing Company, and they are of Ontario. They have a bid bond. Their bid is $778,000.
6 or 7.
6, 7,
That it?
That's all I have.
All I've got.
Commissioner? At 11:05.
Yeah, okay, I've got a couple questions.
Go ahead, Al.
A lot of the stuff didn't come, I got most of the bid numbers, but the names weren't real clear. The one after Alumni Roofing was Mead out of Lexington.
And send it all to you, Al.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, Stacy can send that. The other, I didn't hear what Dan said the engineer's estimate was.
It was 699,000.
Okay, and I want to clarify, what is this work for? Is it just one roof or multiple roofs at the fairgrounds?
3 roofs, the Arts and Crafts Hall, Youth Hall, and the Fairhaven Hall.
What was that second one?
Arts and Crafts, Youth Hall, Fairhaven Hall.
Okay, because I saw the competition had just Fairhaven or the Coliseum or something, and I thought there was more than one roof in it. That's what I wanted to make sure. Okay, that's all the questions I had. Thank you.